Hades and Persephone, a love story shrouded in darkness and mystery. Beneath the eternal skies of Olympus, where gods ruled and mortals prayed for their favor, there existed a tale of forbidden love, one that transcended the boundaries of life and death, light and shadow. This is the story of Hades and Persephone, a love both shrouded in darkness and brimming with mystery. Persephone was no ordinary goddess. She was the embodiment of spring itself, her golden hair radiant as the sun and her presence as gentle as the first bloom of a flower. Wherever she walked, meadows burst into life, colors blooming in her wake. She was adored by all. Mortals whispered prayers to her in fields of wheat, and gods marveled at her unearthly beauty. Yet no devotion matched that of her mother, Demeter, the goddess of agriculture and fertility. Demeter's love for Persephone was fierce, a devotion rooted in both adoration and fear. For years, she had kept her daughter hidden from the harsher truths of the world, protecting her from the shadows that crept along the edges of light. "The world is a dangerous place," Demeter would say, her voice firm, her eyes filled with a maternal intensity. And so, Persephone lived in her mother's golden cage, untouched by sorrow or danger. But beneath her obedient smile lay a restless soul. Persephone yearned for more than the fields and meadows that had cradled her since birth. She was no fragile flower, she was curious, adventurous. The songs of the wind that swept beyond her mother's lands called to her, whispering of hidden realms and untold mysteries. She often wondered what lay beyond the horizon, in the lands where sunlight gave way to shadow. What would it feel like to walk among mortals, to see the world's beauty unfiltered by her mother's watchful gaze? Her longing was like a seed, planted deep within her heart, growing stronger with each passing day. Little did Persephone know, her desires would soon set her on a path that would lead her far beyond the safety of her mother's arms, and into a world of darkness, danger, and unexpected love. Beneath the mortal world, in the vast and shadowed depths of the underworld, Hades ruled with quiet authority. Unlike the fiery pits mortals imagined, his realm was a place of unyielding order, where souls journeyed to their final rest. The rivers of the dead whispered tales of mortal lives, and the obsidian halls of his palace echoed with silence. It was not cruelty that defined the underworld but inevitability, and Hades, its sovereign, bore the weight of its solitude with stoic grace. Though feared by gods and mortals alike, Hades was no tyrant. He was a god of balance, ensuring the cycle of life and death continued unbroken. Yet, for all his power, he was profoundly alone. Among the gods of Olympus, he was the outsider, the shadow cast by their brilliance. The underworld, though vast and eternal, offered little companionship beyond the souls who wandered through its gates. One day, from his throne of black obsidian, Hades turned his gaze upward, peering through fissures in the earth. His attention, usually fixed on mortal affairs, was caught by something extraordinary. In a sunlit meadow, he saw her, Persephone, the daughter of Demeter. She was unlike anything in his realm. Her laughter rippled like music, her every movement a dance of light and life. The flowers she touched seemed to bow in reverence, blooming more vibrantly under her care. She was life itself, a force of nature that defied the stillness of death. Hades found himself transfixed. Her beauty was undeniable, but it was her spirit, free, unbridled, untouchable, that stirred something long dormant within him. For the first time in an eternity, the god of the dead felt a spark of longing, a desire to step from the shadows and into her light. It was a quiet afternoon when Persephone wandered too far from her mother's watchful eye. She strolled through a secluded meadow, her fingers brushing the tall grasses. Her attention was drawn to a narcissus flower unlike any she had seen before. Its petals shimmered unnaturally, as though infused with starlight. As Persephone bent to pick it, the ground beneath her began to tremble. Cracks snaked across the earth, splitting open to reveal a chasm of shadow and light. From the depths emerged a chariot drawn by 4 midnight black horses, their hooves striking the ground like thunder. Before she could react, the charioteer descended upon her. Hades, his figure towering and cloaked in darkness, swept her into his arms. Persephone screamed, but her voice was swallowed by the earth as they disappeared into the underworld. The journey was both terrifying and mesmerizing. The chariot raced through tunnels of glittering rock, past rivers of silver and gold. The air was cool and otherworldly, and Persephone's fear mingled with awe. "Why are you doing this?" she demanded, her voice shaking. Hades glanced at her, his expression unreadable. "Because you are more beautiful than the sun, and I could no longer bear to be without you," he replied. Though his words were sincere, Persephone felt anger welling inside her. She was no one's possession, no one's captive. She vowed to find a way to escape. When they arrived at his palace, Persephone was struck by its grandeur. Walls of obsidian glittered with embedded jewels, and the air thrummed with a quiet power. Despite its beauty, it felt foreign, a place of eternal shadow where she did not belong. Hades, sensing her fear, spoke gently. "You are not my prisoner, Persephone. You are my queen, if you choose to be. All of this, I offer to you." But Persephone, heartbroken and angry, turned away. Her world had been torn apart, and she could see no path forward. The underworld was unlike anything Persephone had imagined. It was not the cold, desolate wasteland she had heard of in whispered tales. The river Styx snaked through the land, its waters shimmering with ghostly light. Fields of asphodel stretched into the distance, and the sky above was an eternal twilight. It was a realm of quiet beauty, somber yet profound. Hades guided her through his palace of black stone, adorned with gemstones that seemed to capture and reflect fragments of light. Though grand, the halls were eerily silent, and Persephone could feel the weight of the countless souls who passed through the underworld. At first, Persephone's fear and sadness overwhelmed her. She longed for the warmth of the sun, for the sound of her mother's voice. She avoided Hades, spending her days wandering the palace gardens, where strange flowers bloomed in shades of silver and blue. But even in her sorrow, she couldn't help but be curious. Hades was not the monstrous captor she had imagined. He was quiet and reserved, but his gaze held a deep sadness that mirrored her own. He treated her with respect, giving her space and never forcing her to stay near him. Over time, his small gestures, leaving flowers at her bedside, arranging feasts of exotic foods, softened her heart. One evening, Persephone confronted him. "Why did you take me?" she asked, her voice trembling with both fear and anger. Hades hesitated before speaking. "Because I could not bear to watch you from afar any longer," he admitted, his tone raw with honesty. "But you are not a prisoner, Persephone. If you wish to leave, I will return you to your mother." Persephone was taken aback. She had expected cruelty, but instead, she saw vulnerability in his eyes. For the first time, she wondered if the darkness of the underworld might hold its own kind of beauty. While Persephone adjusted to her new surroundings, the mortal world was plunged into chaos. Demeter, overcome with grief, searched endlessly for her daughter. She roamed the earth, calling Persephone's name, but received no answer. Her sorrow spread to the land itself, and the earth responded to her anguish. Fields withered and died, rivers dried up, and winter swept across the land. Mortals began to starve, their prayers to the gods growing more desperate by the day. Zeus, the king of the gods, could no longer ignore the devastation. He summoned Hermes, the swift-footed messenger, to the underworld with a command: Persephone must be returned. Hermes found Persephone seated beside Hades in the throne room. To his surprise, she was not cowering in fear but engaged in conversation with the god of the dead. She had grown more confident, her initial fear replaced by curiosity. She was no longer just a flower maiden but a goddess who had begun to understand the complexity of the world. When Hermes relayed Zeus's demand, Persephone's heart ached. She missed her mother deeply, but the thought of leaving Hades filled her with unexpected sadness. She had come to see the gentleness beneath his stoic exterior, the care he showed for his kingdom and for her. Hades, though reluctant, agreed to let her go. "Your happiness is all that matters," he told her, his voice heavy with resignation. "If you wish to return to the surface, I will not stop you." When Hermes arrived at the palace, he found Persephone seated beside Hades in the throne room. She had changed. Gone was the frightened maiden who had been brought to the underworld against her will. In her place was a goddess who had discovered her strength. Hermes relayed Zeus's message, but Persephone hesitated. Her heart ached to see her mother, but the thought of leaving Hades filled her with a deep sadness she could not deny. "I will not keep you here against your will," Hades said, his voice steady but tinged with sorrow. "You are free to go, Persephone." As Persephone prepared to leave, Hades offered her a pomegranate, its seeds glistening like drops of blood. "Take this," he said, his voice soft, "so you will not forget what we shared." Persephone, moved by his gesture, ate 6 seeds. She did not realize the significance of her action until Hermes gasped. The pomegranate was a fruit of the underworld, and by consuming it, Persephone had bound herself to the realm. When she returned to the surface, Demeter's joy was immeasurable. The earth bloomed once more, and spring returned. But Persephone's happiness was tempered by the knowledge that she could not stay. The pomegranate seeds had sealed her fate. She would spend 6 months of each year in the underworld as Hades' queen. Zeus, recognizing the bond between Hades and Persephone, decreed that she would divide her time between the two realms. When she was with her mother, the earth would flourish with spring and summer. When she returned to Hades, the world would fall into autumn and winter. In the underworld, Persephone discovered a strength she had never imagined. No longer the sheltered maiden of her mother's fields, she embraced her new role as queen of the dead. The shadowed halls that once felt cold and oppressive became a canvas for her compassion. Persephone guided lost souls with a gentle hand, her presence a quiet comfort in a realm of silence. She brought life where there was none, not in blooms or greenery, but in hope, in the soft glow of understanding that even death was part of life's grand cycle. Hades watched her transformation with awe. The goddess he had first seen as a radiant flower had grown into something far greater, a force of nature that balanced both light and shadow. She challenged him in ways no one ever had, questioning his isolation, softening his edges, and showing him that vulnerability was not weakness but strength. Persephone was no mere consort, she was his equal, a queen who brought warmth and vitality to his eternal twilight. Their love grew, not out of convention, but through understanding and shared purpose. Hades, long cast as a figure of fear and darkness, revealed a heart capable of immense love. Persephone, once defined by innocence, learned to wield her own power with grace. Together, they forged a union that defied the expectations of gods and mortals alike. The underworld, once seen as a desolate abyss, became a place of balance. Hades and Persephone's love reshaped its image, transforming it into a realm where life and death coexisted in harmony. Their story, born of darkness and longing, stood as a testament to the transformative power of love, a reminder that even in the deepest shadows, beauty could flourish. As Persephone walks between worlds, she reminds us that life is a cycle, and love, in its many forms, is eternal.